All right. Everyone hear me okay on the line?
Yes.
Thanks. Welcome. Hi, everyone. And welcome to everyone here in the room. We are pleased to provide some guidelines and assistance for those of you who are planning to graduate. Yeah, either this semester or in the spring. Just so you know, we understand plans have a way of changing. And so we will also offer this. If you're online, please mute yourself. Thank you. We'll offer this workshop again in the spring. Were we looking at February? Is that what we were thinking? And just in case you need a refresher and to offer this information twice a year, I think that'll be very helpful. Want to thank Alex. Hey, Melanie. Want to thank Alex and Tiffany and Alfred for helping out this morning. And I'll talk just a little bit. Really, the bulk of the information will be presented by Alex for the most part. She is the individual who will guide you through the TurnItIn and the ProQuest. You think that once your committee approves your dissertation and you defend, you think you're done. Unfortunately, there is another whole process that involves ProQuest and meeting the rules and requirements for their formatting. I would encourage you, if possible, to even before you submit your dissertation to your mentor, have Alex take a look at it and give you some formatting ideas that will help speed up the back end. But again, that's totally up to you. Understand, timing is everything. So and we'll talk about some timelines as well. And so let's go ahead and get started. Thanks again for attending. What did I do wrong? Okay, awesome, thanks. So the first thing, just want to remind you of conferral dates. These are the official dates during which the registrar, after we notify the registrar that you have completed all of your requirements, academic dissertation or thesis, research projects, everything's been signed off on all the forms. You have completed everything that the graduate school has asked of you. We then send this information to the registrar. And on these, we have 5 main conferral dates: December, February, May, June, and August. But please remember, we only have one commencement exercise, and that's in May of every year. So that commencement exercise, if you graduate from August through June up to a point, and again, I'm sure Tiffany will have some comments about the June conferral date and participating in commencement. But we just have that one commencement in those 5 main conferral dates. We also have a couple of in absentia dates. In absentia is really an alternate in case, again, your plans change. If you are unable to meet for whatever reason, the conferral deadline date or your defense deadline date for either February or August, there is an option, and it's called in absentia, where you have to defend within a certain time frame in that month, usually July or January, correct? And it falls after the conferral, the defense deadline for the normal conferral, and it involves you registering for a class called IMTD 1000. I think it's on the next page. It also is a $25 fee. So in those cases, it enables you to, because there is a UT system requirement that you have to be registered during the semester in which your degree is conferred. So in those in absentia conferral dates, it allows you to be registered primarily for the reason to get your degree conferred. And it saves a little bit of money, but again, there's also additional hassle on the back end as well in terms of forms and registering and getting everything approved by your committee. So we would prefer that those in absentia dates be kind of a backup plan and try to meet the 5 main conferral dates and deadlines if at all possible. And all of these deadlines and the information for these conferral dates is on the GSBS graduation information site. Can I go there if I click? Awesome. Beautiful. So, two fingers. There we go. So on the graduation website, and you can get this, you can get here off of the main page under student life. There's an enrolled student link, but here it gives you, the other website we maintain is the dissertation and thesis guidelines, which Alex will also talk about. That provides the formatting templates and some other information about copyright and binding your dissertation or thesis if you want. The important step in all of this is getting everything approved at GFC. And really that GFC meeting before the conferral date is our hard deadline. Everything needs to be at GFC in order for them to vote and approve your degree. Once GFC votes, and GFC is Graduate Faculty Council, if they, when they vote to approve, then it's not the final step, but it's an important step in the process, because then we have Dean Weiss sign forms, and that goes to the registrar for your degree conferral. Here are all the timelines that we just talked about for both dissertations and theses or manuscripts. Here are the two in absentia deadlines down here. And again, please use those as a backup. You know, we prefer not to have students do an absentia, but we understand, again, things come up and that might become a necessary option. All right. So again, a little bit more about in absentia. We kind of need to be notified if you're not, if you've indicated you're going to graduate and defend and get conferred in August or June, February or August, but you missed that deadline. We still need to know what your plans are so that we can, again, provide the proper information and steps for you to register for an absentia. Again, it's a process that gives you a little bit more time for those conferral dates, but it doesn't, again, require some additional paperwork. But it does enable you to register for that semester in which you are going to be conferred. Tiffany, did you have anything else? Okay. I see there's a chat. Is that someone with a question?
They couldn't see the webpage
on the
shared screen, so I dropped it in the chat.
All right, thank you. All right. Are there any questions at this point about timelines, conferral dates, or in absentia? All right. Where'd my cursor go? Okay. So regardless of the conferral date, there are some important dates or timelines that we strongly encourage and recommend. And again, this is really going to be between you and your PI, how much you maintain these dates. But typically, you set up you have your final research committee meeting, and they say, okay, you can defend. Once you set that date, then you start working backward from when you're going to get your dissertation to your PI. That's typically about a month or so before your actual defense date. Along with that dissertation submission, you also should provide your PI with a TurnItIn similarity report, which Alex will talk about. But TurnItIn is a plagiarism software tool. And again, it's not meant to be punitive, right? So we're not going to prevent you from graduating or doing anything like that. It's just a way so that you can check and maintain the academic integrity of your dissertation, so that doesn't lead maybe to problems down the road. So we want to nip that in the bud before it happens. It'll give you a report in terms of where information might be from other sources. And Alex will talk about the limitations on that, but You share that with your PI as well. You guys talk about it, see if there's anything that needs to be adjusted. If so, then you make those changes. It's nice to give your research supervisory committee at least 2 weeks to look at your dissertation. So again, 2 more weeks back from your defense date. You need to submit, of course, forms and impact. This is the Form 40, which is the request for final oral exam. And this should be signed by all of your committee members, including your external committee members, if you need one on your committee. After that, you upload the form, or the form is completed impact. You need to upload your CV and your abstract along with that. And then you're good. You just prepare for your defense. You defend, everything goes swimmingly well. You get passed. And then you're going to get an email from me that says, hey, congratulations, good job. You have 2 weeks to revise your dissertation or thesis, to upload it for final approval in ProQuest. At that point, that's when Alex really begins working with you in terms of formatting, changes, and edits. And so that's why the length of that can vary. I think it's gotten much better over the past few years. But the length of that depends on how responsive you are, right? If you take time to respond and not paying attention, it's going to take longer, obviously. And that's going to push us closer and closer to the GFC their approval date when they vote on your degree. So we want to get everything completed at least 1 week before that final GFC meeting. You also have to do a final Turnitin at that point. So these, again, are strongly encouraged and recommended. And if you need more time after your defense to make edits, if you have a lot of edits, and you think, 2 weeks, you just send me an email and I'll work with you. Again, the only thing we have is the closer you are to defending to the GFC date to confer or to approve your degree, the less flexibility I have. But if there's some flexibility, you need more time, I'm happy to discuss that with you. So this deadline is really the one that we try to enforce pretty consistently. And this is a 1 week before GFC meeting to approve your degree. You have a lot of edits to do on your dissertation or thesis. Those need to be completed. You need to turn in a couple of forms, and one form and impact, the form 43 or 41, depending on if it's a master's or a PhD. You also have a signature or approval page that goes in your dissertation. This can be, and again, this is your preference. You can get electronic signatures for that or original signatures. Originally, you can have a blank signature page that goes into your ProQuest submission, just to have a filler there. Then once you get all the original signatures, we can go back in and replace that signature page with the actual signature page with everyone's signature. Instead of having to wait for that to get completed, we want to move the process along, and we're happy to work with you. And that even after it's approved in ProQuest, Alex can go back in and open it up for you to make that change, to put that original signature approval page in your dissertation. So just keep in mind, again, we are here to help and work with you in any way we can. Again, but we have to know, again, communication is the key. And then there are, even when after your dissertation or thesis is you've got the green light, ProQuest says yes, you're going to get an email from Alex that says not so fast. There's a list of things that you have to complete, and for the PhD students, there are a couple of surveys. Master students, do they do the IPE as well?
Yes.
There's also an IPE, interprofessional education survey that we're administering, and a few other things that we ask you to do. You sign up for our Alma base, which is our alumni database, and provide some other information so we can stay in contact and hit you up for money later on. Once GFC approves, everything's honky-dory, then Dean Weiss will sign all the forms, and Tiffany puts together a nice packet, sends that to the registrar, and they confer your degree. Any questions yet? All right. Yes.
Before we go. So it sounds to me like those are general timelines. With
So-
the exception of the 1 week prior to the GSBS.
Yep.
So we can have some flex depending on committees and vacations and all
Yes.
of their schedules.
So again, that's going to be discussions between you and your committee.
Sure.
But yeah, these are just kind of guidelines to give people sufficient time to work through things. Yeah. Yep.
We do need your request for final oral defense. We have to have that completely signed at least 1 week. So we say turn it in at 2 weeks, that gives your committee enough time to sign. We expect that 1 week before your defense, it will be turned in, fully signed, otherwise reschedule.
Because we want to send out that announcement at least a week ahead of time so people are aware and can plan accordingly. Thanks for the question. Anything else? Is there something in the chat?
It seems formatting is the biggest issue. Is there a draft document set out as an example to help guide you? Alex, we'll talk about that.
Yeah. And on one of those pages, there are some templates that will help. But again, I encourage you, and if you have your dissertation written or almost completed before it goes to your committee or even your PI, you can provide and meet with Alex, and Alex has a rubric she'll go over with you and suggest and recommend changes to the formatting so that at the end, once you've completed the content revisions from your committee or your PI, the formatting is almost basically done. And then it's just a very simple process for probably a few minor updates. Is there another one? Nope. Okay. All right. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Alex. So, thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alex. Dr. Robbie mentioned me a few times. So I'm the person that you're going to be communicating with as far as the Turnitin process, the ProQuest process, any kind of formatting. Basically, the last couple parts of your whole journey here. Unless it's paperwork, that's Tiffany. So please, if you have paperwork questions, ask Tiffany. So what we're gonna do here is, where did you put the cursor? Oh, okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over the Turnitin course and the report. So as Dr. Robbie mentioned before, about a month before you plan to defend, we ask that you submit to the Turnitin course. If you applied for graduation, then we have already added you to the Turnitin course. If you do not have it in your Canvas, you can email me or Tiffany and we'll get the paperwork in so you have access to it. The faster you
apply to late graduation, you will not be in the Canvas course.
Okay, yeah. If you applied for late graduation, then you're gonna have to talk to us and we'll get you in. But if you've already applied, then automatically we put you in. So like he said, you do the initial submission, and I'll show you the process in a second. You'll get a report back and it's kind of color coded, not in the sense of like everything that's pointed out is like something wrong. It's just pointing out where your information is coming from. Turnitin scours journals, websites from all over the world. It's not just within the United States. It also scours like your previous stuff, anything that you've turned into Turnitin beforehand, even before you were at UTASCA. It looks for any kind of similarities. It's not necessarily plagiarism. It's just if it's similarly written, I think it's 3 words or less that it picks up. So a lot of the times it's like a less than 1% thing that they'll ding you for. So it's not too bad. Let me go ahead and show you the process. So I'm going to end this really quickly. So we're gonna go here, share, dismiss. So you guys can see this screen, correct, on Zoom? Okay. So from here, this is what TurnItIn is gonna look like from your end. You'll just have the initial upload and the final upload. So once you do the initial upload, you'll do a new attempt. Once you do it, it only takes Word doc, not docx, I don't know why, or a PDF version of your paper. So once you submit it, you click that you agree and submit it. You'll get this little submitted button and a submission detail. So you'll click that. So in the next screen, you'll see a bunch of like color-coded flags. This right here tells you basically how much was detected within your paper of what's similar to other papers. What we want you to have is less than 24%. Anything less than that, great. Anything more than that, we need to have you revise it. If it's your previously published paper, you can contact me and I can get it excluded from the report and it'll bring down your percentage. So once you get this, you'll click it. And then are you guys able to see this in the Zoom? Okay. You'll get like these little reports on the side and it'll tell you everywhere that you've gotten any kind of information. So like this is 7% and it just shows you where it's been turned into, anything that's submitted by a similar student. If it's a student paper, it won't show you any of their information. It just says, hey, this is something similar to what this student did. So if it's like your previous work and there's like a patent or anything on it, you won't see any information, which is good because I know a lot of students tend to patent or copyright their work right before that they turn this in or they have stuff pending. So are there any questions about the TurnItIn process? Is there anything in the chat? Okay. So you can download this report and send it to your PI. You can show it to them in person and just kind of go over, hey, this got dinged. How can I reword it so that it doesn't get dinged later on? It's this little button right here. You can also get a text only report, but we prefer that you do like the big report because it shows each color coding of what was picked up. And so, go ahead.
When we get to this point,
Mhm.
can we give you a call?
Yeah, you can call me, you can email me, you can, yeah. Really all it is like I said, if it's like 3 words that are similar and it's less than 1% or 1%, you don't have to worry about it. If it's like 30% or more, that's when you need to worry about that source. Yeah. And like Dr. Robbie mentioned, you guys can always email me beforehand. I can go over the formatting with you. I can meet with you in person, whichever works easier for anybody. Okay, so we will exit out of this and go back to the PowerPoint.
I have a question.
Sure, what's up?
So can we upload it multiple times to, like when we make changes and we want to make sure that the percentage drop down, can we re-upload it to check if that works?
Yes, you can actually re-upload it into the initial upload. That it's an unlimited amount of attempts. We just ask that when you do the final one, that's the final version that you're going to upload into ProQuest. Yes, Dr.
Okay,
Ram.
thank you.
Yeah, I have a question. So when would you recommend this process should be done? Is that before they submit their draft to the committee? And my second question would be, it is so cool that you already assigned the student with this, TurnItIn. Is there any way that either chair or their committee members are also assigned to that TurnItIn platform?
So your first question, we asked that they do the TurnItIn process a month before they plan to defend. If they already have access, they can go ahead and do it automatically. As far as adding the committee chairs, Dr. Robbie. Okay, yeah, you guys wouldn't have access to the reports. They would have to show you through email or physically.
Thank you.
No problem. Are there any other questions regarding the Turnitin process?
Yes, are you allowing for the ETS to be utilized by the students as well?
What do you mean?
That other drop down that was there was below the thing, ETS is like grammar.
Sometimes it doesn't really like add much to it, but they can use it.
Okay, but
Yeah.
it's open and available when they do their submission,
Mhm.
when they look, they can see that report.
Yes, and it'll also show you like little points of like, oh, this looks like they may have reworded it, or it looks like
So your
still,
focus is, I understand your
Yeah.
focus on the similarity,
yeah,
but those ETSs are helpful for students to write.
yeah, no, completely. I understand. Mhm. So let's go to, let me see. Oops. Let me just make sure I'm sharing correctly. Here we go. Okay, so back to Turnitin. I'm gonna put this up here. So once you do the first set of Turnitin, you'll talk to your PI, make any changes, you'll defend, and then following your defense, you have 2 weeks to turn it in into the final submission. And like I said before, the final submission is what you will be turning into ProQuest. That doesn't necessarily mean that what you turn into ProQuest is like the full final, like, hey, I'm done, I can publish everything. There's still more stuff that we're gonna go over. So like I said before, the similarity report is gonna have a little flag next to it. What you want to aim for is blue or green. I never had a green before, so don't worry about it. Yellow is going to be 25 to 49%, orange is 50 to 74%, and red is 75% to 100% matching. That means that you basically copied and pasted and didn't attempt to rewrite it in your own words. If it's anything above green, we ask that you look at it, make sure that it's not any of your previous work. That's honestly what it is sometimes. And just kind of go over it with your PI so that it could be written in a way that it doesn't get dinged again. And I showed you guys how to access the report. Yes.
If you're using publications as part of your dissertation.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to match.
Yes, but it's not going to give you like a 35% match versus like word for word if you were using your own publications within your paper. So some students will use previous journals and write them as chapters into their dissertation. And so that's when it'll ding like 35, 40%. Yeah.
We can exclude that.
Yeah, we can exclude those.
Yeah, some students try to write the first chapter as a review paper,
Mhm.
so probably it matches a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of the times too, it'll even like tell me that it's yours on the report. It'll say like submitted by, and then, or if it's like something you did with your PI, your name will be on it. So we can tell that it's yours. Mhm. And then, like I said, this is just an example. This PowerPoint is going to be on the dissertation website, and we are recording it, so you guys can always go over this again. Again, Turnitin is flagging my previous work. You can email me, call me. Email or Teams is probably the best way to get in touch with me. And I can exclude it. Your new score is going to be reported in the similarity report, but if you look at Canvas, it'll still have like your original one, so don't worry about that. As long as it's coming up when you open the similarity report, then you're fine. Okay, so the general format of paper. In previous years, we would go through every single aspect. We're not doing that. So thank that. I'm gonna click here and I'm gonna share over here real quick. So this page, the dissertation and guidelines page, is available through the quick links page. So if you press quick links, go to enrolled student resources, It's there. It's also available from the graduation page that Dr. Robbie sent earlier. It has important dates like that are on the PowerPoint. It has the guidelines, and it has all the instructions, including like paper instructions, step-by-step of how to do Turnitin, how to do ProQuest, any other templates that you need for the title page or the approval page. Like BME students, there's a different template that you need because you have to include both UTSA and UTESCA, as well as your abstract page. There's examples of how to format the approval, the list of figures, your literature citing, all this stuff. There's information about applying for copyrights. There's information about using third-party content, especially if you co-author stuff. And that's something we'll touch on in a little bit. If you co-author, you are going to need that author's permission. Even if it's mainly you, you still need their permission. And we can give you like a little slip that's like, I give permission to this person to use it. Embargoed and delayed release, we'll touch on that later, but really all that is if you're waiting on a patent or if you're trying not to publish any of your stuff within the next year, you can apply for that. The maximum for us is a year. If you need more than a year, I believe we can justify up to 2 years, but we need an email from you to Dr. Robbie and you copy your PI on, just to give a justification of why. And we'll keep that in our records of just why you're waiting that long. And there's examples of why you would need to patent it. There is an option for open access publishing versus traditional. There really isn't that much of a difference. The only thing that I would say is that if you choose open, it gives you a wider scope, but you're still able to get about the same access from just traditional. And it has examples of what you'll get. Basically, everything we're telling you in this PowerPoint is going to be on this website. So we'll go back to here. So, okay. So we covered the general format. If you have questions, you can email me. Okay, so using third-party content. Obviously, we know that you guys use your previous stuff. You use stuff that the actual authors don't have permission, but the company does. So if you think that you need written permission, go ahead and use the sample letter that's on the website, and you can send that over to me. I'll have it in your file. That way we know it's in it. If you want to include it in your dissertation, that you can make like a little footnote, thank you, of what's been used. If you are unable to get permission, we ask that you redraw or trace images or graphics. If there's images that you can't use, you have to redact it. You can always put where they can be found. As far as actual text information, if you don't have permission, you cannot use it. There's no way around it. Again, if you want to use your previous work, go for it. We ask that you use any work that you've used here. If you have copyright, that's fine. If the publisher owns the copyright, you have to get permission from them. If there's a co-author, you have to get your co-author's permission. And like before, just add a footnote that says, this is where the material had gotten the permission from. This is where it's published. We just ask that you make it known that you have the permission if it's not yours.
There's a question, if we make something in BioRender, do you need to include the publication license that they generate?
No, but if you want to, you're more than welcome to. Okay, so that's covered. ProQuest requirements. It's a long process. We ask that if you have questions, contact us. Sometimes it's really easy to get around, but these are the major things that you need to have when you do the process, and I will kind of show you a little bit of it. So just make sure that your committee is identified. You have keywords or subject categories. There is a copyright disclaimer on the website that you need to sign and just upload. It doesn't have to be included in your paper. That's different from a copyright claim. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. When you upload it, you can either upload it as a Word doc and then it gets changed into a PDF file, or you can upload it straight as a PDF file. And it just has to follow these little precautions. So these are the biggest things that we ask you to think about when you're doing your ProQuest submission, because these are the ones that we get questions about all the time. What kind of publishing do you want? Is there sensitive information in your paper? Do you want to copyright it? And then do you want physical copies of your paper? We don't require you to have physical copies. If your department wants them, great. We don't need them. If you want them for yourself, go for it. So publishing your own work. Like I said before, there's two different types of publishing that you can do, traditional publishing versus open access. It is a $95 fee when you submit. As of right now, and we're still working on it, you cannot use a ProQuest card. No, I'm sorry, a Pro card. And you cannot use a PID to pay for anything in ProQuest because it is taxable. So you could pay for it and get reimbursed if your department allows it, but otherwise it comes out of your money. Institutional repository. We have a school repository where all of your papers are stored. It's accessible through the library. If you don't want it there, I think you have the option to opt out, but more than likely it's just going to sit there, and it's nice that we have all of your stuff. So, okay, so embargo, delay, release. This is a big one because, like I said before, if there's stuff that you want to make sure it doesn't get out before you submit to a paper, you submit to a journal, if there's a patent pending, we ask that you do this. There's a max of a year, and it's an option on ProQuest. If you need more than a year, make sure you email Dr. Robbie. And you can also make sure that once you have this delay, no one will be able to find you in ProQuest or Google until it is published. So you can put a specific date of like 6 months, a year from today, if you want. Are there any questions about third-party embargo, delay, anything? It's a lot of information, I know, I'm sorry. Copyright, okay. Copyright is strictly between you and your PI. It's optional. We don't require it of our students. We don't have statistics of how many of our students do it. Solely on you guys. If you have a previous copyright on any of your work, you don't have to file for copyright. But if you want ProQuest to do it, they'll do all the hard work for you. You just pay $75. If you do not do it in your initial submission, you will have to go through a third party. So when you're doing the submission process and you know for sure you want to get a copyright, do the copyright. You can always go back and take it out if you want to. I learned that. I didn't know that. But if you do, you have to go through copyright.gov and do the hard work yourself. This is another thing, physically bound copies. If you do not order the physically bound copy through ProQuest, you will have to go through a third party. A lot of the stuff that you have to pay for has to be done during your initial submission. We ask that you look into what you want. There's a lot of different types of paper and a different kind of binding that you want. And it varies because of those different materials, but right now with COVID still going on, usually it takes about 4 to 6 weeks after it's sent to ProQuest for it to get published. But I believe the time now is up to 10 weeks for you to get the physical copy. They are going to ask you for a mailing address. So if you are moving after you defend, make sure that's updated. If you move again after that, make sure you contact ProQuest. Anything after you submit is going to go straight to ProQuest. We can't do anything on our end to update addresses, update how many things that you want. You have to talk to the company. If there's a third-party site that you want to use, these were recommended by the library themselves because they don't offer the physical binding anymore. So, are there any questions about copyright or physical bound copies? No, cool. Okay, like Dr. Robbie said, once you get the green light from ProQuest, PhD students will have to complete the survey bearing doctorate. There is a post-graduation survey that we are sending you guys. It just asks for, where you plan on going, who you're working for. This information is used in your GFC action handout. So this is what's being presented to the other GFC chairs. And a lot of times we like to make sure that you guys have something, even if it's just plans to look for jobs. Don't just put undecided. You will also be asked to sign up for the alumni site with the addition of our assistant director, Dr. Ramirez. She will be helping us out with maintaining this. If we have events that we want you guys to attend, if we want speakers, we're going to contact you. So make sure that you keep it updated. And then you will complete the GSBS IPE ACE post survey. For some of you, when you first came in, you did the pre-survey. This is just the second part of that. So you have to make sure that all of these things are done or you will not be presented at GFC. I know that sounds harsh, but it is the way that it is.
So it says a non-UTESC email,
Mhm.
but if you're, can it just be a UTESC email, not the live mail? So
If it's going to be active,
right, so what I'm saying is if you have a post-op here.
yes. Mhm.
Can we have a UTESC?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you are planning on doing a postdoc here at the university, you can use your UTESCA email, but not the live email because that will be inactive. Thank you. That is the word. I'm sorry. It's early for me.
Just wanted to make sure that.
Yeah, no problem. And so, go ahead.
That is active.
The live email?
Yeah.
That I don't know.
I think it's like 6 weeks post conferral and then it's done.
Yeah. So, and I will get to that in just a second. Let me just go to the ProQuest site really quickly. So I'm going to share the screen. Okay. So for everyone on Zoom, can you see the ProQuest? Okay. So this is what it's going to look like on your end. When you create the ProQuest account, please use an email address that you will be checking because that is how you will get any communications. If it's a Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail, if you still use Hotmail, make sure that if you are not getting emails, check your spam. And for whatever reason, the last updates they did to ProQuest, a lot of the emails have been going to spam. So just make sure you check. If I don't hear, yeah, if you're using your UTESCA live mail for some reason, it's going to go to spam. But this is the only way that you will hear from us as far as revisions, as far as ProQuest contacting you to let you know that, hey, your thing's been published. Hey, your stuff's on the way. Hey, like this is the one be all that we ask that you use a non-UTESCA email that you're gonna check.
Hey, according to the university's website, your live mail stays active for 3 years.
Oh, thanks, Alex. Didn't know that. We all learned something.
But you have to stay active in it.
Oh, yeah.
It stays active for 3 years, like following like your final semester. Like at that point, it's like 3 years from there. It's like, yeah, I think it's, I put the link in the chat.
Okay,
So
cool.
there should be more info on that.
Thanks so much for that, Alex.
Of course.
Yes. Okay, cool. So when you sign in, I'll just go into like this one that I have. You're going to see all these lovely boxes on the left-hand side. And I know that there are some students that have gone through this process, so you kind of know the spiel. Bear with me. As long as you get all of this stuff done, your ProQuest options, this is where you can delay anything. And it'll give you all of this. You can put the reason of why you're delaying. Your IR requests. This is just yes, I want to be in the institutional repository. And like I said, you can put no because you're waiting on a patent or something, and it'll change later on. The contact information, this is where they're going to ask you for any kind of mailing address, any kind of communication in the long run, because like I said, this is how they're going to tell you when everything is happening. We also ask for your ORCID ID. If you already gave it to us, great. We're going to ask for it again just because we need it. Please also keep your ORCID ID up to date and connected to all your stuff. And then you can click this little box if you want to order additional copies. Right here is where you will put in all the information, committee, subjects, any kind of keywords. I think it's this one. This one is the one where you will submit to ProQuest. So in the event that you're revising it, you will click replace, and it'll replace this little deal here. Because if you just revise it, there's another way that you can do it. If you just revise it, we don't get the email that you did anything. So we're going to contact you like, hey, why didn't you submit anything? You know? And then you can also put any copyright permissions that you have in here. The copyright stuff is down here. It kind of explains the filing system a little bit more for you. If you don't know if you have a copyright, they will not search it for you. So if you want to go ahead and do it and then you find out later, like I said, you can always get that feedback. And then ordering copies. As I said before, there's different variations of how many kinds you can get. The pricing is different depending on how many copies you get. And you do have to pay with a credit card for this, the copyright fee and the, what is it? The publishing options, I'm sorry. Once all of this is done, this is your initial submission. You're gonna pay for your order, and then there's gonna be a submit button. Please submit, because otherwise I can't see anything and I can't help you. I believe that's everything as far as ProQuest. Let me see. Oops. Trying to, there it is. Share. There you go. Okay. Okay. What if I need to make changes on ProQuest? Great news. You can email me once everything's locked. I will open it up for you. You can add your approval page if you need to make any kind of grammatical changes. Great. I try to keep the ProQuest submissions about a week or two after GFC, just in case anybody wants to make changes to it that aren't related to formatting. Just in case, because once I send it to ProQuest, I don't have access to it. You have to contact them directly. There's the email if you need to change your physical address, if you want to check on the status of your copies, if you need a refund for something that you don't want anymore, you can contact them at this email address or their phone number. We ask that you give them all information, your order number, your full name, any kind of identifying information that's going to help you get this situated. Are there any questions about the process, about ordering stuff? No? Cool. So again, you have the graduation site that has all the templates. I'm sorry, it has all of the timelines for anything needed. I think it's also going to be updated as soon as we get information about commencement and any of the ceremonies. We don't know if we're doing a big one again. I would assume we're going to do a big one at the Alamo Dome, and then we will have a separate hooding ceremony. So you don't have to do both. You can pick one or the other. We just need to know. Templates, TurnItIn, this PowerPoint, the rubric that I use is all going to be on the dissertation guidelines site. That site's here too. All of this is accessible through the enrolled student quick links option. And then if you have any questions, this is who you contact. We ask that you try to keep us all in the loop, because sometimes Tiffany will get questions that I don't know, and then I get questions that she doesn't know. And then for everybody on Zoom, if you can please use the QR code to give us feedback about the website. There's also QR codes on the tables if you find one. Yes. We try to make this workshop as easy as possible for you guys. It's a lot of information. I know that this time is very stressful. And we just want to make this process as smooth as possible for everybody. Are there any other questions regarding any of the process? Paperwork, TurnItIn, ProQuest, timelines? No?
As far as some forms where we have to get signatures from people on our committee, is that something where we have to chase down our committee members, or once we submit it, the school takes care of it?
What forms exactly?
So for example, there's the form that it has to be signed by everybody a week before. And so for example, if there's one committee member that hasn't signed it and they're not replying to emails and things like that, would that just be something like we just have to take care of, or do we try and ask someone in the university, like higher up to find it?
So we put the onus on you as the student to make as much effort to contact this person. We'll also send you reminders if you're getting close to the deadline and you're still missing some signatures, just to keep you in the loop. It's a good idea to keep your academic coordinator in on those conversations. So if they have an alternate pathway, like they can text them, or your program director can text them, we're getting really down to the wire, they can do that. And then, last resort would be our office stepping in and making some sort of Hail Mary attempt to get in contact with them.
Yes. For everyone who didn't hear on the Zoom, we ask that you as a student do your part in getting in contact with this person. Keep your academic coordinator involved. That way, if they have a way to get them, they can. Your PI, correct?
PI, I would say.
Yes, your PI is also a good contact to have to make sure that your committee member gets it. If for some reason all of those avenues do not work, contact us and we will help you.
I think a good process is that once you submit something that requires signature, you should probably email the committee and say, hey, I just submitted this. Please be on the lookout for it.
And I have instructions for faculty, if they have not logged in a long time, maybe they haven't served on a committee in a while, that you can send them with your email. And also for your external, usually if they're not used to our system, they may log in once in a lifetime. So we can definitely provide an instruction for that as well.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Feedback? You guys like lunch? Yeah.
I'll just touch on graduation.
Oh, hold on.
Will you be emailing this PowerPoint?
It's going to be available on the website. Yeah, so the rubric, any help that you guys need will be on the website. If you can't find it, email us. Like I said, the best way to get in touch with me is email or Teams. Tiffany is really good at Teams, email. Dr. Robbie responds at like 5 a.m. for some reason. I'm kidding. But he's really good about getting back to emails. If your coordinators have questions, they can contact us. Really, this is just about making this as easy as possible for you guys. Like I said, it's stressful. It is what it is. If there are no other questions, thank you guys for attending. Thank you guys on Zoom for attending. Yes, Tiffany is going to say one thing about graduation.
So the other reason that we have you provide us with your email after you leave here is that we only have one graduation and hooding ceremony, and that is in May. But we invite all of our students who have conferred in August, December, February to come back and participate in those ceremony processes. But if I don't have an accurate email for you, then you won't get the invites. I start sending out emails in February. So I just want to make sure that if you really want to do that, if you want your mentor included, that we have that information as up to date as we can get it. So
helps with ordering Regina.
yes, if you are one of those very proactive students and you're planning on graduating in or around June, you can still participate in our graduation ceremony as well. We just need to know in advance. And at the bottom of the June timeline, there's a little bit different date requirement that you'll be required to adhere to participate. That's all I have about that. Any questions? Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you guys. You have a good day.
Bye.